Hello, good morning everybody. It is Wednesday, April 15th. Thank you for joining me this morning. How are you all doing? I'm fine. Let's start with a little bit of a morning song, okay? Remember bread and butter? So tap your knees or tap the table. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Say hello as quietly as you can. Hello. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Say hello as loudly as you can. Hello! Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Say hello as slowly as you can. Hello. What's the opposite of slowly? Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Say hello as quickly as you can. Hello. Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Say hello as sleepy as you can. Ah, hello. What's the opposite of sleepy? Bread and butter, marmalade and jam. Say hello as awake as you can. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Okay, I have a poem. We've been talking about shapes all week, and this poem is sung to the tune of Where is Thumbkin? If you want to try to sing it with me as I go through. This is square, this is square. How can you tell? How can you tell? It has four sides. They are all the same size. It's a square. It's a square. Remember, square is the same all the way around. And there are four sides. This is circle. This is circle. How can you tell? How can you tell? It goes round and round. No end can be found. Right? There's no straight edges. It's all around and around. It's a circle. It's a circle. This is triangle. This is triangle. How can you tell? How can you tell? It has only three sides. Do you see them? 1, 2, 3. They join to make 3 points. 3, 1, 2, 3. It's a triangle. It's a triangle. This is rectangle. This is rectangle. How can you tell? How can you tell? It has 2 short sides. It has 2 long sides. It's a rectangle. It's a rectangle. Those are all our shapes we've been talking about. We also have been talking about oval. It's basically a circle that's been stretched out. And we also talked about diamond. And diamond is kind of a square that's been put on its side, but you could tell they don't quite match up. If you put this on its straight side, see how it's a little bit like on a diagonal? That's called a rhombus. But it's kind of like a square. And it's also kind of like a rectangle. Okay, so that is our little poem for the day. I want to announce the guessing box to get ready for Friday's live Zoom meeting. We are going to ask Annabelle, will you please get ready for the guessing box on Friday? And we picked Annabelle. Why not? Pick her out of a hat. But take a look at the first letter in Annabelle's name. Her name starts with the letter A. And a capital A. Do you see any of our shapes in Annabelle's name? Do you see an oval? Nope. Do you see a rectangle? No. Do you see a circle? No. I think I see, and maybe you see it too. It has 3 sides. Do you see the triangle? See the triangle in the letter A? Well, Annabelle, with the letter A, please find something in your house that starts with the sound, 2 sounds for A. A can say A, and A can say a, like in apple. So you could find something in your house that starts with the letter A, come up with 3 clues, put it in a container, and try to trick us, okay, at our Friday Zoom meeting. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Okay, welcome back. This sheet I'm going to send off to your parents. If they have a printer at home, hopefully they can get this printed for you. What you're going to do, well, to begin with, you can just color this sheet. But something I want you to do is I want you to notice on this picture, there is a child. Seems like it's holding a string that goes up to a kite. There's a sun, the sun rays coming off of the sun, a flower, and an apple tree. Don't forget to write your name on your paper. The question in the corner says, can you count how many of each shape? So what I did is I took all of our shapes, the diamond, the circle, the square, the oval, the rectangle, and the triangle, and I used it to make this picture. So on a chart next to it that I'm also going to send to your parents, it's a graphing chart. And so up here, the first shape I want you to look for is a diamond. So if you think about the diamond, do you see any shapes in this picture that's a diamond? Let's see, is it the body? Nope. Is it the tree trunk? Oh no. Is it the kite? Yes, that matches perfectly. I see 1 diamond. So I'm going to color the first box. And coincidentally, the first box next to it has the number 1. So far I've found 1 diamond. Do you see any other diamonds? I see 2 more little diamonds. Look at the face. Is it on the face? No. Is it on the flower? Well, I believe this and this are each diamonds. So I see 2 more. So I'm going to color another box and another box. I saw 2 more diamonds on the flower. How many diamonds did I find in all? 1, 2, 3, and it matches with the number 3. After you find all of the diamonds, then you go and try to find circles. And a circle, not an oval. You want to find a nice round circle. Do you see any nice round circles? They can be big, or they can even be little. Do you see what I'm pointing to? So you decide, what is a round circle? How many do you see? Mark it on your chart. Fill in as many shapes as as many rows as you need to, and then it will tell you how many circles. And then at the very end of all that work, you do the best you can. Then here's a fun coloring sheet for you. Again, put your name on it. Always practice writing your name. And put your name on this sheet. Maybe there's a lot of good space down here to write your name nice and big. Okay? Let's see if you guys can get these charts filled out. I'd love to see them at Friday's Zoom meeting. All right. Okay, I wanted to introduce you to a few more shapes. This one is called a pentagon, and a pentagon has 5 sides. There's side number 1, and there's straight edges. Here's number 2. Here's the 3rd. Here's the 4th. And obviously the bottom is the 5th. 5 sides around a pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I also had a pentagon in my basement that was a magnet tile. And a pentagon kind of, to me, looks like a house. Here would be the bottom, the 2 walls, and the roof. That would look like a house to me. You see the house? See the 5 sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's a rectangular door, a couple of square windows, a round doorknob, but the whole outside structure is a pentagon with 5 sides. I also want to introduce you to a 6-sided figure. I had to use some of my magnet tiles at my house to make a 6-sided figure. So for 6 sides, I see 1. Do you see that straight edge right there? That's 1. Then 2. This would be 3. That will be 4. 5. 6. That's a hexagon. A 6-sided figure is a hexagon. Hexagon. Now, a hexagon, the only thing in common with a hexagon is it has to have 6 sides. But the sides don't always have to be lined up like this. This kind of looks like maybe like a rocket ship or something, right? It doesn't always have to be lined up like that. In this picture, I made a butterfly, and this also has 6 sides. It's different than that shape, isn't it? But they both have 6 sides. Let's count them. Here's 1. Here's 2. Here's the 3rd side. Do you see it? It goes in. Here's the 4th. Don't worry about the antennas. That's not a part of the sides. Here's the 5th side. And here's the 6th side. That is also a hexagon. It's an enclosed. The whole thing is closed. Nothing's open. Nothing's like loose or open up. It's a closed shape that has 6 sides. That's a hexagon. That's also a hexagon. Anything with 6 sides. Okay? So I taught you about a 5-sided shape and a 6-sided shape. I'm going to skip a 7-sided shape. That's called a septagon, but you don't see those so commonly. The next one that you see all the time is a stop sign. And a stop sign is an 8-sided figure. A stop sign has 8 sides to it. Octagon. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see this side here? 5. Let's go across the bottom. 6, 7, and 8. 8-sided figures is called an octagon. You're very familiar with stop signs, right? You can see the 8 sides of a stop sign. But I created something else with magnet tiles that also is 8 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This shape is an octagon just as much as this shape. just as much as a stop sign. So in this picture, I drew, with our octagon shape, I drew a stop sign. The last shape I wanted to show you right now is called a trapezoid. And a trapezoid has 4 sides to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. The top and the bottom are parallel with each other. They go on the same line segment. But the 2 sides, they like to angle in. And to me, this looks like maybe it could be like a roof of a house. Let me put it down. It could be like a roof of a house. And I found one object in my house that reminded me of a hexagon. And it's a basket. Let me see if you could see this. So the basket on the bottom, do you see it along the bottom? That would be one side. Then up would be 2, across the top would be 3, and down the side would be 4. Kind of like a trapezoid. So this picture, I took the trapezoid and I laid it down and I traced around it and I put some wheels on it. Can you tell what I was trying to make it into? I was trying to make it into a car. Well, this picture is fun to color and decorate, or if you would like to, you could do the same thing we did before, where you tape it to, oh gosh, it's really sunny today, isn't it? You tape it to a window, you put a second sheet of paper on top, and then, sorry if you can't see it, it's kind of very windy here, or very sunny, and then you could just kind of trace the lines. You can even count the lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a hexagon. And then you put the butterfly wings on. The octagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 sides makes an octagon. Here's the trapezoid. The top and the bottom are in the same parallel lines, and then these 2 just diagonal in. And then the pentagon. 1, 2, across the bottom would be 3, 4, 5. And you could draw in your squares, your rectangular door, your circle. It's another thing that you can have something to draw on the window. Okay, so these are most of the shapes we've talked about. There are 3 shapes on this piece of paper we haven't talked about. I wonder if you know what they're called. Do you know the name of this shape right here? It's also here. That's called a star. Do you know the name of this shape right here? Right there? That's called a moon. And the shape next to it, that's a heart. I wonder if you can name the shapes. This one at the top, square, circle, triangle, 5-sided figure. We just learned about it. It looks like a house. It's called a pentagon. This is a diamond. This is a stretched out circle. It's an oval. This is a rectangle, star, circle, triangle. We have a couple of repeats. Another square, another diamond, trapezoid. This is an 8-sided figure, octagon, moon, heart, rectangle, star. Okay, so we learned a few more shapes today. Mrs. Regula will continue with shapes tomorrow. I wanted to read a book to you, and it's called The Best Nest. And I picked this book. I love this story, but I picked this book because we talked about a pentagon today, a five-sided figure. Do you see it on the birdhouse? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The birdhouse is a pentagon, a five-sided figure. The best nest. Oh, they're so busy making their nest. Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing, and this was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house, I love my nest. In all the world, my nest is best. Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. She doesn't like it. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I do not love it. Let's look for a new place right now. She's pointing at Mr. Bird, and Mr. Bird's all frazzled. He has to go out and find a new house. So they left the old place to look for a new one, and they're flying together. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. He's talking about the hole in the tree. But somebody else already moved in. That raccoon's like, get out of here, birds, this is my house. They looked at another house. Ooh, this one looks really nice. And there's nobody in it. But somebody was coming. That's someone's sock. You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. So they went on looking. Ooh, I like this one. Uh-oh, here comes the mail truck. It has a pretty red flag on it. Ooh, this is the best. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. And he flies in, and she's thinking about going in. But oh gosh, oh no. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. And they flew and they flew. Oh, she saw a big church. And she saw an opening up at the vents at the top. And here it is, right here. And they flew in right where that wooden slat fell apart. They flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big, said Mr. Bird. Oh, I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place to build our new nest. They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. They both took some pieces, and then they flew them in. Then they got some soda straws. Hey, what's that bird taking my soda? And they got some broom straws. And they even took some sweater strings. That man looks a little nervous. The birds are taking the shirt right off of him. But they need all these kind of materials to make a good, strong nest. Oh, this one's taking a rest in the hammock, and Mrs. Bird's taking some of his sock strings. And this bird, Mr. Bird's taking some of the stuffing out of the mattress on the hammock. They got some horses here, and they got some man here too. All these things to make their best nest. Soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horsehair, and all the man hair that they could carry. They took it all back to build their nest. Oh, look at all the stuff they're carrying. They're going to fly right back inside. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. Ooh, it's getting so nice and sturdy. This nest really is the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. Do you know what this thing is that they're on top of? It's a church bell. It's really loud. The whole town can hear it when it goes off. Mr. Bird was very happy too. He flew to the top of his house and he sang his song again. I love our house. I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is best. He was so busy singing, he did not even see Mr. Parker coming down the lane. Watch where Mr. Parker goes. Right up to the church doors. I wonder what Mr. Parker's gonna do. Oh no. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church and Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. And the rope went all the way up to that bell and where the bird's new nest was. And if you tug on that string, you ring the bell. Bong, bong, bong. And you could see all the sound vibrations coming off of the bell. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Ooh, she looked so nervous. Remember, Mr. Bird was up at the top. He was all up at the top singing. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. She kept going bong, 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 bong. She went this way. He comes off the top, whoop, whoop, and he's going to go check on her. But she's gone. When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess. There was hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and man hair and straws everywhere. But where was Mrs. Bird? He doesn't know that she got out of there okay. I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low. He looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He couldn't find her anywhere. He looked down into a chimney. But Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Ooh, I don't like all that smoke. He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. And the horse was like, what's he doing here? He saw a big fat cat. There was a big fat smile on the fat cat's face. And there were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Oh no! Mr. Bird began to cry. This big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. Oh no. Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. Crash, he says, crash. Mr. Bird bumped into something. Oh, it was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird did not like. I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest here until the rain stops. Mr. Bird went in. Aw. And there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing. She was singing, I love my house. I love my nest. In all the world, this nest is best. You're here, gasped Mr. Bird. I thought you did not love this old nest. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to not love it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind. You see, I laid an egg. There's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird. And when the bird popped open, the new bird thought so too. Hey, I like this nest. The end. Picture of them gathering all the materials again. All right, the best nest. I love that story. So boys and girls, have a great rest of the day. I'm going to send those pictures off to your parents if you want to start working on some worksheets. Mrs. Regula, like I said, will be with you tomorrow, and I will hopefully see you on Friday at our live Zoom meeting. Okay? Have a wonderful day. See you soon.